What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hey Pumpkin. How are you guys doing?
Hey, how you doing, Mario?
Girl, you just dry as hell. Dry.
I said, how you doing,
No,
boy?
you say it with a
Wow.
little more excitement.
Don't you work in customer service?
That's why I'm trying to tell you. You need to put a little pep in your step and in your voice.
Well, sweetheart, let me tell you something. I forgot to tell you. I went to the post office yesterday because I need to get my passport renewed. So I went with a sundress on, and so the lady at the post office, which is all a scam, number one, which I forgot about. You got to get your pictures taken at the. I took last time I got my passport. I got my pictures taken at Walgreens, which I should have did because the post office charged $15. So I didn't know that. So I come in, I'm like, hey, I want to get my passport, blah, 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 renewed. So she's like, oh, do you have your pictures? I was like, no. She said, well, okay, I'll take a picture. So she come out, she said, you don't have nothing to cover that up with?
Cover it up. What up?
Cover what up?
She said that sundress looked like a bra.
Ma'am.
She almost got cussed the fuck out.
You ain't gonna do nothing. You
Okay.
ain't gonna do nothing.
And you're right. I went to my
Hence,
car and got a jacket.
hence the key word is almost. She wasn't gonna do nothing, Brian. She just.
I'm like, ma'am, you
But I
should be
think you.
taking a picture from here up. What the fuck you
Right.
mean?
But I think there's certain standards. I mean, you probably didn't read the paperwork as obviously that
Ooh,
there are certain
you on the
standards.
side of the post office worker?
I'm
Copy.
sorry.
You on the side of the post office worker?
Well,
It
I just
sounds
said
like that.
there are certain standards for the picture. Honestly,
What's the standard, sweetheart?
I don't work at the post office, but I know you can't go
Oh,
in there.
okay.
You can't go in there half nude. I know that.
Bitch. Hey, a sundress is not half nude, honey.
I was say I don't know that a sundress is against any
Thank you, Brian.
policies.
You know, she probably had spaghetti straps,
And it was.
had her push-up bra on, everything. Brian, she was
I did.
inappropriate.
I
Inappropriate
did.
because they probably don't want to make sure you getting a passport to go over there and sell.
So I'm looking
That
at
was
the
her. That was
requirements
her. Thank you,
and
Brian. What's the
What they say?
requirements?
not size, background, quality, expression, glasses, and children. Like there's nothing about what you have to
Thank
wear.
you. Thank you. She was
Okay.
an old black hater
Shh.
with her bitch ass. I said, ma'am,
Shh.
what?
Oh,
She's
now
like,
you
you
gonna
gotta pull your hair back. I'm like, in my last passport, my hair was over my eye, everything. She's like, no, you gotta put. I'm like, girl, okay. She was just being rude. That's
uh,
why she had a baby. A baby was getting his passport done too, and he kept crying. I said he knew what her energy was. That's right, baby. Keep crying.
Brian. See, you see it. Now she got all the smoke for this lady that she ain't around her. She ain't say nothing about
Because
her. They
I don't want to go to jail. Because post office is the government.
federal.
It's a
That is
little bit
federal.
different.
Yeah, you would definitely.
Yes,
I don't think. No, we don't have a ability to create a GoFundMe for you.
that's right. I would be in jail. No, ma'am. She got it out, and she knew she could.
Mm. Well.
So
Yeah, but everybody know you when you get your passport. You don't never really go get the picture taken at the post office. You go somewhere.
You
Um,
take your picture with you.
yeah,
yeah,
and then with you take all
I,
your stuff with you. And when does
yeah.
your passport expire? I feel
It
like you just.
actually expired. No, I got my initial passport was I got it in 2016.
So it expires next year.
Yes, but I'm going on a cruise in May, and it says that you cannot have your passport cannot expire within 6 months of you going on a cruise or on a out of the country.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to procrastinate. So I said, let me go ahead and do it now.
Okay, well, good for you. Good for you,
Very
Brian. What's been going on in
responsible.
your world? I'm sure you have some. It may not be quite as exciting as her post office story.
Yeah, nothing quite so interesting. I had got into an altercation at work last night. I got spit on. That was
Huh?
a fun thing. So I'm still kind of
Spit
trying to
on.
decide. Yes, still trying to decide exactly how I want to handle that because have obviously pictures and video from security cameras, but have license plate numbers as well. So to try to debate if I want to
They
take
spit
that
on
in
you
that
in
direction.
violence?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yep.
Arrest that bitch. Because
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
nasty as fuck.
I think that's probably the nastiest thing you can do to somebody is spit.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Like, it was intended to be as disrespectful as possible, and it certainly was. So, I'm trying to decide if I want to be equally disrespectful in how I handle it. So,
I think you
And
should.
press charges. Yes, that's
I think,
nasty.
yeah, I think you should because that's
yep,
you can't go around there spitting on people like that. Think you ain't got
Right.
to suffer the consequences of it.
yep.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
that's gross.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
All right, guys. So I'm not sure if you're aware that I recorded an episode probably about a week ago.
Mhm.
Was I went to recently? I went to church, and I was convicted, so to speak, about the subject matter. It really touched me. I'll say touched because convicted sounds a little more harsh. But Mama Kim, you were there that day. I don't know.
I was.
Let me start by saying this, Brian. So I was moved by the sermon. Correct? Yes.
Okay.
I made my way down to the altar. I I don't know when she felt moved, but I looked behind me after prayer and stuff. Well, here she is at the altar. I'm like, man, when did you get down here,
Boy, bye.
Brian?
Look
She was
here.
Brian.
Bro,
She was yawning and everything else throughout the service.
he's
So how
so
was
full of crap. I ain't even, baby, look. First of all, Mario didn't want to go to church. Number one, let's go back to him not even wanting to go to church. So as he gave Tammy all this credit, I'm like, sir, I've been asking you to come to church because I don't go to church on Sundays often because I have to work. So I'm like, okay, Mario, you going to church? I'm gonna go to church. You going to church? We bet on it. We kept talking about it. And he finally was like, I'm up. I'm like, oh, because for whatever reason, I have his location. So that made me believe him then because usually he be telling these fibs.
why
But
you
yeah,
got
I
my
had your location. I don't know how I got your location, but I got it. And it
oh,
told me that you was moving. So I was like, oh, so he really is coming to church. Okay. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. And you came.
anyway, back to my story. So, I mean, you're not completely off. I haven't been in a while. We all know that. And so I said I was gonna go. Then I
Yeah.
said I wasn't gonna go. Then I said I
Yeah.
was gonna go. And then so I ended up going. And it was definitely one of those days that you go and you hear everything you need to hear. And it was enlightening for me. So I was moved to talk about it.
May I ask what the sermon was about?
So the sermon was about love steps in.
Mhm.
And she spoke. It was Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts was who preached that Sunday, and it was she talked about Peter denying God 3 times. She talked about, in a sense, it was about manifestation. Your input being as your output being is just as good. What you put in has to
That's what you
reflect
get out.
what you want to get out of it.
Mhm.
Things of that nature. How love has failed or love fails. But what really spoke to me, because throughout the sermon, one of the questions that she asked, and she talked about a lot of different things, but the one thing that resonated for me was, when did your love turn cold? Because she posed that question. When did your love turn cold? And that spoke to me. Because in my, uh, most recent years, been a shift in my life and how I deal with people and how I deal with things and how I just deal with myself. Um, so today I would like to pose that question to you guys, and it's not necessarily love in a romantic sense. Always, it's just basically, when was there a shift? Because the belief is that we're all blank canvases at one time or another. Life experiences, love experiences, relationships, friendships, job ships. That's not a word, but those type of things have influenced our current mindset and behavior and things of that nature. And so our once clean canvas is now got a lot of paint splatters throughout and everything like that. So again, my question for you all is, like, when did your love turn cold?
Ooh.
I know that's why I'm like, that's a hard thought. Well, you go first, Mario, so we can understand what that means.
Well, what I said, obviously you didn't listen to my episode, but that's okay.
I did because I thought you
What I,
did very well, so don't play with me.
what I said was my love necessarily wasn't necessarily turned had not necessarily turned cold. It was a shift when I realized that I was not able to be, or I was not being loved and appreciated in the way that I needed to be. And so as a result of that, my behavior changed, my attitude shifted because it's like, it's almost like you don't want to keep giving, giving, giving and not being poured back into. Um, so that was a shift for me. You know, that's when my love. I think I used the word turn lukewarm, not necessarily cold, but turn lukewarm, because it was a change for me.
Okay, because I know the examples that you gave. So I guess I could say it turned cold, but then it got back hot. To a couple of examples that you used in your solo podcast that day. I can also honestly say, even with my mom. So before my dad passed away, and this was probably in my early 30s. I lived in a home that my mom owned, which I rented out, whatever. And she was a slumlord, to be honest. And I called my dad and I was crying and I was like, Daddy, she won't fix nothing. She won't do this. I'm like, that bitch. And he was like, you never call your mom a bitch. And I was like, you know what, Daddy? I don't know how you say this, but you ain't stay married to her, blah, 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 blah. And then he went on and started telling me these stories about my mom that I never heard before. And it definitely made me look at my mom different, but I also gave my mom grace because I was also a mother who wanted to abandon their kids, especially when I was having bad days or went into depression and all these things. And my dad was telling me, like, when I was probably 3, my sister was probably a newborn, my mom left and left us in the custody of him for a year. And she came back, of course, but he didn't know where she was at. It was like she came back and it was like life is normal. Moving fast forward, he's telling me this story now. Like I said, I'm in my late, probably going in my late 30s, going into my 40s. And he says this to me, and I'm just like, okay. So I call and talk to my mom. And she still never really kind of talked about it. And I said, you know what, Mom, you don't have to talk about it. But I'm going to say I give you grace and I forgive you. So at one point in my life with my mom, my love for her did turn cold, but it then putting myself in her shoes made me appreciate who I am today. So in that instance, and my dad too, he had times of cold. And before he died, I was able to give him his flowers and forgive him too. Um, and that's I think where you think about when love turns cold and how do you forgive people who make you feel like your love for them is not worthy or them being in your life is not worthy for you anymore. So I had to forgive. And it took a lot. Because how do you forgive people that hurt you or put you in harm way? And in my growth and in my own experience with my children and in my life and the things that have happened to me, forgiveness for the people that hurt me or put me in bad positions made me a better person. So my love has turned cold a lot of times, but I had to figure out how to forgive. And I had to do that. And I told Mario, my even with my sister, I didn't talk to her for 10 years. Um And my love definitely was not even, you couldn't even turn on a faucet for that damn lady. It was, you said, who? Oh, where did she die? I don't give a fuck. And I stood on business. I didn't care. My daddy tried to talk to me, my mama, everybody tried to talk to me. And I was like, fuck her. She did too many things. And then my mom's husband passed away, and we had to talk because we would have to be there supporting my mother. And even to now, if she even sound like she gonna disrespect me, I put my foot down. I'm like, hey, I will not talk to you again. And I want you to understand why before this does not happen or before it does happen. If you decide to go that route, I will not talk to you. And I mean that. You will never be able to be in a position to hurt me ever again where I'm second guessing myself like, did I do something wrong? When you're doing something wrong to me. And we've been fine. But I drew a line in the sand because even when we started talking again, she didn't even know why we didn't talk. I said, baby, I can tell you why. And it was still,
But
and
did
it
she really
still,
not know, or did she really just didn't want to acknowledge?
it could have been both.
I don't believe it was
And she,
both. I don't believe it was both. I
yeah,
think that sometimes, a lot of times, people they like to gaslight people, um,
yes,
and
yes.
act as if they don't know when they have
No, I agree.
good intention, or the they know exactly what they're doing.
Yes,
They
I
just don't
agree.
think you're smart enough to take note of it, so they kind of think that
And
you are.
definitely, Mario, woo, you hit it with all your degrees and all your these things. I'm like, I'm not really dumb because you hurt my feelings and you hurt it multiple times. And I let it go. Oh, that's my sister. You did it again. Oh, that's my sister. But the third time, I was like, you know what? You don't give a fuck about me. Why do I care that you my sister? Because you definitely don't care that I'm yours.
Mm,
That you can continuously hurt me without any remorse. So you right, Mario. When you think about it, you knew what you did because it
yeah, I
was
do.
very clear what you did wrong. And I did this time, the third time, I did not accept it. Right. So even for my mom, I had to really step back and have to say, you know what, let me tell you why I feel the way that I feel. And even for my dad wrote me this long ass letter and oh, you don't know how to do this and you know how to do this. I'm like, sorry, first of all, you are supposed to be my father, the man that's supposed to teach me how a man is supposed to treat me. You stepped out on that. You never had them conversations with me. You never stepped in as a man. Even if you wasn't with my mama, you still was supposed to, as a man, make sure that I was okay. As a little girl growing up into a woman, what happened?
Mm,
What happened?
yeah,
So now you have to say, how do you turn your love back to lukewarm and then allow them to come back in?
yeah, yeah.
So I have
Okay,
to forgive.
that's you had to forgive. Okay, well, I think we probably need to get you on by yourself because I mean, you just with a whole. Anyway, Brian, Brian,
Oh
what you
yeah,
say?
let's get you a solo episode. Uh,
Exactly.
Right.
Mine was also family, and it's all been kind of recently. I haven't really interacted with most of my family since the election, and a lot of people have opinions about that, um, and I don't really care about their opinions about that. And one of the things that has kind of been an overarching realization through this process is that manipulation has been a tactic that has my family has used for a long time. Um, I one of my very first memories of discipline, for lack of a better word, in a family context was I remember my mother screaming at my sisters and I one day. I would have probably been 5 years old, and I remember her talking about how we needed to stop misbehaving because making her angry could cause her to have a heart attack and could cause her to die. And you don't want me to die, do you? And like that scared the shit out of me as a child.
Mhm.
And like in the grand scheme of things, that's probably not, the worst thing that could ever happen. And I'm sure a lot of parents have done very similar things for various reasons.
Mhm.
But when you really think about it, that's manipulative as fuck.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was obedience through fear. And
Yes.
that, trust me, that was not the last time that it ever happened. And I'm sure it won't be. But guilt and other tactics have been a tactic of my mother's in particular, but just my family in general. I was recently made aware that she had made a post on Facebook. We are friends on Facebook, but I don't follow her because I don't have any desire to see the manipulative bullshit that she's going to post. She's been going through cancer, and she has tried to use that as a entry point into talking to me, and a big part of that has been guilt about how hard it's been to do that alone or without me and stuff like that. And the reality is, I don't care. Um, and for the first time in a long time, I can legitimately say I don't care. And
You don't care about
that's
not being her going to battle alone.
yeah. In terms of if my me not being there is causing her pain, I don't I don't care. If me keeping my distance is somehow a negative for her, I don't care. Um, if that goes for anyone in my family, if my distance in in any way is inconvenient or unpleasant for you, I don't care. Um, it's you can say it's just politics or just an opinion or a difference of beliefs or whatever the case may be, and I don't care. I we family often conditions us to forgive things that shouldn't be forgiven. Um, Family will often placate us with apologies that aren't really apologies. They will encourage us to move on because that is what family does, and that's false. And realizing that the people that you thought were your moral compass for a majority of your life are in fact kind of awful people is hard to come around to. And when you do, it can even then still be hard to disconnect and say, I need to let this go. It doesn't have to be forever, but however long it is, whether it is temporary or whether it is forever, I need to let this go is a hard transition to make. And that has been my heart turning cold. And a lot of that is the really interesting part is not so much that I feel like my heart has necessarily turned cold, but so more rather to keep my heart from turning cold. Because I generally think of myself as a pretty caring person. I worry about how other people, I empathize with other people. Um, and to be able to actually do that, sometimes or continue to do that, requires you taking the negativity out so that you can focus your efforts and your energies where they need to be. Um, and you know, I we talked about this, I don't know, quite some time ago when we were talking about the real Republican stories, and my mother had talked about I miss how she missed my kind heart, and I was like, well, here's the thing. I have my kind heart is the reason that I can't be around you right now. You know, you revel in the terrible things that are happening in this world. You know, we're mistreating immigrants. We are, or not even that. ICE is arresting people who are not illegal immigrants and deporting them to countries when they have absolutely no reason to do so. And among all the other travesties that the current administration is bringing about in this world, and you're happy about that. You enjoy that. I if you want to talk about my kind heart, I care about those things. You don't. And therefore we have no middle ground anymore. We don't have that. And blood is thicker than water is not true. I mean, it simply is not. And yeah, that's my story. I feel like I've kind of monologued for a little while here, so I'm gonna
No,
step back for
no,
just a second. But
I completely get it, and obviously somebody that rang the doorbell. These damn dogs down here going crazy. I guess they heart to turn cold too, or what they love to turn cold too. But but no, I get it. I completely get it, and I think a lot of what you're saying, different experiences, but
yeah,
same basis or base points. Is the manipulation of it
yeah,
all. You know, I'm not, never have been shy as of late to talk about my relationship with my mother that is now non-existent.
it's what it is.
And
Yeah,
manipulation plays
Yeah.
a huge role in that. And then, you know, and through therapy, I've come to the realization that my relationship with my mother throughout my whole life has shaped all my relationships, not, you know, not just romantic relationships, but all my relationships that I've had um, to date, honestly, because just and so now I'm at a point where I decided I wanted to break the cycle and say I don't want to keep doing that. But it's amazing to me how, because I don't want to go off on a soapbox about that, but it's amazing to me how people can comfortably use that tactic without a second thought. You know, your mom, granted, I'm sure it has to be horrible to go through cancer. Um, Yet the fact that it sounds like she's still using that as a tactic to draw you back in. Um, Not that she's going to treat you any differently, not that she's going to have a, you know, different outlook on things, but just the fact that you decided to say, listen, I'm going to value me more in this situations um, than I guess maybe than you have in the past. Um, that seemed to have bothered her. And so maybe if I use this, I can reel him back in because he does have a kind heart. So I can play on that and he'll reel him back in and he'll come back and then I'll get what I want. And it somehow, some way, seem to always forget about the other person, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like as long as they get what they want, you
yep,
know, that's all that matters. And that's the unfortunate part
Because
about it.
at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, those people are selfish and it's only about them. It's never about my feelings or Brian's feelings. It's about them. And it's that selfish way of thinking that these people have that are our families. That they use that and you like, oh, that's just who they are. That's them. But then when do you say enough is enough and it's now about me? When is it about you or when is it about me? When is it not about them? Why are they the center? Because now you're telling me that you have cancer and you think that because of that heart that I'm gonna come back running and be your savior. And no, you never gave me a safe feeling. Like you said, Brian, that scare tactic or and that's baby, my mama whooped me so much. And I'm just like, why? And so when I had my own children, I was like, I'm not hitting y'all because what does that do? And not saying I never hit them, but I never whipped them as much as I did got whooped. And so now I just think about, I'm like, that when they talk about violence beget violence, it's the truth. You beat your children, they're going to go beat somebody up, or they're going to try to bully somebody, or they're going to try to hurt somebody. If that means it's going to be their siblings, or would it be another child, or grow up killing or hurting somebody, you got to think about all them things. I just thankfully, um, that didn't so much happen to me. I ain't gonna say that because I think in my relationship with men, a lot of men abuse me in that way. And because I grew up in that way, I thought it was normalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that when you made the point about making it about them and making it about us, so to speak, I think that
Hmm.
what is when it is made about us, it's be made about us in a like as a villain, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Because
Yep.
you're not acting how I want you to act, so now you're the bad guy when
Yep.
you're not paying attention to any of your actions that led me to here. Just like when you said, "Oh, my sister, she when 10 years later, she didn't even know why we stopped talking. She knew. She
Hmm.
knew. People know these things, and they
Yes.
behave in such a way. They just don't think you know what's going on, and they
Yes.
insult your intelligence along the way, and feel like, oh
Hmm.
well, they don't know, or I've been doing this for so long. Why the change now? Do you know what I'm saying? So to your point, in your situation, hey, you 3 times. So she was like, how was she know to know that the third time was going to be the last straw for her? You know what I'm saying? The
Right.
straw that broke the camel's back.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's a shame that people play games with people.
Yes.
Um, I think
And it's the
one
people, but you know what? In reality, people play with people, but you don't think it'd be your family, right?
would be the main ones to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, those be the
Yes.
main ones to do it, and they set the precedence for how you
Other people treat.
show
Yep.
up in the world and how you treat other people and how you interact with other people. Those be the main ones to do it, and then they'll sit back, and be like, "Oh, I don't know why. What happened? Oh, I don't know why Brian
I can't
doesn't."
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a total state of shock. But what about everything that you did that led to this? People always want to complain about the reaction, but they don't
Yes.
know. They don't want everyone to take accountability for the action that led to your reaction, and that's the unfortunate part.
But then
So
how do you protect your peace?
you protect your peace. I think how Brian is doing it, and here's the thing.
Jesus.
I think also you have to be able to tune out the noise. And that's just my thought. You have to tune out the noise because people are going to have an opinion. I have people that say, "Oh, well, that's your mother. How could you not talk to her?" Why ain't nobody in her ear saying that's your son? How can you not talk to him? Do you know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yep.
Yep.
That's right.
Brian, I don't know if you get that same type of
Reaction.
narrative from others, but it's you have to get to a point where you say, listen, I've had enough, and I'm going to value me more than you. Because think about it, you can get back into these situations, right?
Hmm.
And they will be ecstatic just to have you back in that situation, but you'll be miserable.
Yep.
Absolutely. Because now you gotta watch her speak. I think one time I did talk to my mom and she went into my one of my friends and my friend called me, she's like, "What you say to your mama?" I said the truth because I never ever had them conversations with her. And one day I was like, you know what, mom, I'm putting this on the floor. I felt better. She felt the type of way because in her mind is I'm the mama, you're the daughter. How dare you? But no, ma'am, it was time for you to hear this. And she didn't say nothing to me, which she knew she better not had, because it would have been more conversation.
Mhm,
Because a lot of times our parents don't want to take accountability either
mhm.
of the mess that they created. You created a scenario
You did what now?
or
You did what?
they created a scenario, the mess. Because it's a mess. A
Mario,
lot of this
stop
stuff
that.
is a mess. What I say?
Nothing. They created. Okay,
A
go ahead.
mess.
Curated is what I think
Ooh,
the.
She don't know.
thank thank you, Brian. Shit, fucker.
But
But
anyway,
yeah,
But good, very good point made. Very good point made. But unfortunately, um, it starts with our family and it trickles out into the world. And
Well,
you,
and that's that. It teaches us that when the people that you are convinced that you should love the most do it to you, it teaches you that you should tolerate it from other people around you. Yeah.
exactly,
There you
exactly,
go.
Yep.
Yep.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but you have to find a way, and protecting your peace looks different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It may be one way for me, different for Brian, different for you, Mama Kim. But when you get to that point where you realize this is what I have to do for me, and being able to tune out the noise, because it's always going to be somebody have an opinion about what you're doing, um, and put the
But I
responsibility on you
think
for what you're performing.
to your point, Mario, when you said people come to you like, well, that's your mama. It's the thing is people don't understand what your mama has taken you through because you don't speak on it because you always being that person. I'm not
It's my
gonna say
mama,
it.
yeah, and I'm not going to typically, unless you really get into a discussion with me, I will. You won't hear me speak ill about her. You won't say anything. That's my mom. I'm still honor her
Yep.
at all costs. And it is what it is. Now, if the shoe was on the other foot, she's gonna drag
Right.
me.
You fulfill.
Oh,
Ah,
and has
yes.
dragged me. And has dragged me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was
And that
funny that
was
because you always used to say these things, and I was like, Mario, that's your mama, until I seen it for myself. I was like, oh, wait a minute, and I was like, Team Mario, nah,
Yeah.
Team Mario,
Yeah.
because it was crazy to see it firsthand.
It's a sight. What are you gonna say, Brian?
and that was the thing. Like the most recent so I had kind of been avoiding my mother, and she ended up posting on my Facebook page like publicly, and it was just this whiny thing. And I replied back with some like very just succinct points about what was going on and where my head was. And they were thinking, and it was talking about like the stuff that ICE is doing, and the talk about the fake they were uh, demonizing government employees, which I happen to be one, and a bunch of other stuff that I had mentioned. And I remember after I had typed out this whole thing that was, probably a page long and posted it as a comment on this thing, that she replied back and addressed absolutely none of it, and instead talked about how the last time she was at our house, she realized that I didn't have any pictures of her or the rest of my family hanging up. And I replied back that, you're hurting your own feelings here. Like, you have crafted this narrative that is so asinine. I don't have pictures of anybody. There are pictures in this house. I did not hang any of them up. In this office, I have decorations. As you can see, they are not photographs.
Right.
And that's just not my style. I don't have a picture of anybody. I don't have pictures of Marcus. I don't have pictures of you, Mario, you, Mama Kim, anybody in this house.
Get a picture of me in
Yes,
there.
there are pictures of you in this house, and I'm glad that they are here. I did not put them there.
Yeah.
And so that is just a non sequitur. And like, so, but the fact that you couldn't reply to any of the things of substance, and instead you focused on this one stupid thing about me not having any pictures when I don't have any pictures whatsoever in this house. Like, okay, so you're not actually serious about talking about the things that are the problem. You just want to
Be the
manipulate
center.
still.
Be the
Yep.
center. That's my
Center of
mom did
attention.
that to me. I got a tattoo of my father and I, and instead of that's nice, this and the third is when you'll get one of me, sweetie. Do you think I want a constant reminder on me of what? No, no.
Of the bad times, the misery, no
Right.
ma'am.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's facts.
I'll be ready to cut my arm off.
Right.
Anyway, great discussion, guys. I really appreciate you guys for sharing.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was good.
Thank
Yes,
you for
thank you.
sharing.
Thank you for
All
giving us
right.
this platform, sweetheart, to talk about it.
Oh, you're more than welcome there, sunshine. Ain't that it? Anyway, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you all really soon.
Later.
Have a good day.
Bye.